Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Warren Bennett. We got Trev mooching around there, so thankfully Trev's feeling a bit better this week after a week of feeling a bit under the weather, bless him. So this video is all about how to hit a fade, and if you're a regular viewer to the channel, you'll be able to see plenty of videos that explain how to kind of stop a slice and how to encourage kind of a little bit more hands and arms in the golf swing. This video is the opposite. Video is for you guys who find it hard to stop hooking the ball. So I'm going to show you a few pointers on how to stop that hook. So I'm going to whack the ball for Trev a few times, the tennis ball down there, to get him a little bit tired, set the other camera up and we'll get going. So this video is for you guys to stop hooking the ball. So there are going to be a few fundamentals. So the main ones being, on the downswing, the club's going to be potentially a little bit too much from the inside. There's probably going to be a bit too much lateral slide, so the club gets stuck in inside, and then you're going to have to be over active with the hands on the follow through and through your impact. So a hook basically comes from the club head and the toe of the club head, which is this, over releasing. So that puts that right to left spin on the ball, just like a footballer would take a free kick. It comes from the inside and the foot is the club face and it's wrapping round, and that produces that right to left spin. And it's the same with a golf shot. If you're coming from the inside and if you're over rolling with your hands here, you're going to produce that hook. And I'm going to give you some tips here to stop that hook and get that kind of ball straightened out. Doesn't necessarily have to hit a fade, but let's just say we're trying to start that ball a little bit more on line, even so a little bit left, and try and fade it back. Okay, so let's give you some pointers. So we want the ball to start left, so let's aim left slightly. Okay, so only slightly, you don't want to be aiming kind of 40 yards left because it start cutting. So a little bit to the left. Now, backswing, because what you're looking for width. Now, to create width on the downswing, which is the club coming out a little bit more, kind of more square instead of inside, so you're feeling that the club's going to be a little bit more out, the backswing needs to be not too deep. So not deep is your hands and arms back behind you. You can see more clearly there from the behind view that my right elbow is too far behind and my left arm is across my chest too much. My hands are too behind me. You can see there's two ways that it's going to happen. You either come down on this line, which is potentially happening, or you're going to come over the top. You hookers of the ball are probably going to be coming down on the inside too much. So remember, you want width. Now width in the downswing can be built into the backswing. Did it on a video previous. Just keeping those hands out and wide in front of you. Twist your belly like we always say, and you want your hands out there. So you can see the difference there in the split screen of my hands nice and wide. My right elbow is now in front of my body, in front of my right shoulder especially. Now it's got the room to be wide here, because what you don't want to do, remember, is come from inside. So there's a fault of a hooker, maybe, is there's stalling, there's body stalling, but there's body stalling potentially because the club's too inside, because you can't turn through from there, you'll hit it 50 yards right. So you have to stall and rip your hands over. So width is going to stop that. So what you want to do, width in the downswing, layer it into the backswing. So aim left a little bit, nice and wide, you're twisting your trunk still, keeping your head nice and still, but you're keeping your hands wide. Look how wide and stretched my left arm is there. Now I've got this club and arms and hands built in to come down on that same line. So you can still produce a bit of lag, remember? You're not casting the club out in front of you, but remember you can still generate some kind of little bit of lasso there going on, but yet you're doing it from your hands in a wide position. You're not doing it from your hands deep. Core my belly, hands out in front. As you can see, it started left. Whether if it's faded back or not, I don't know. More importantly, remember, if you're fading the ball must start left. If that ball's going left to right, the ball must start left. You don't want to fade it and the ball starting right, because obviously it's going to start right and go right, so that's a bad fault. So remember, if you want this ball to fade, it must start left. You can't have the ball starting right and fading. So the first section of this video is getting the path right, so getting this ball starting left slightly, because remember, you hookers of the ball's potentially going to start right too much. So we're going to reverse that. We're going to get this ball starting a little bit more on line, even slightly to the left of target. Good boy, Trev. You're in the way. Do you want the ball? Okay, one more. Nice and wide. Even if I take it out slightly and keep it out, remember, I see a lot of people who I teach who want this, who start with the club and your hands nice and wide, and about halfway up to the backswing they start then doing this little rotation of the hands. What I'd like you to do is keep it wide, keep your arm out in front of you, keep your left arm nice and kind of locked. There's no tension there, but it's nice and straight, you haven't buckled in. Okay, one more and then we'll go on to the downswing feeling to keep the width on the downswing. A little bit better, that one. A little bit more neutral. Okay, so I'd like you to do that. First port of call is obviously you need to aim left a little bit. Number two is we want to try and coil and keep our hands out in front of you. So when you make your backswing, you need to check this position and you need your hands kind of in front of your chest here. You don't want your left arm across you. You don't want to be looking back to your hands. So you don't want any deepness. You want this right arm wide, but out in front of you. That's the key to keep the width. If you haven't got that, you're going to struggle to keep the width on the downswing. To keep that width, so remember, potentially what people do who hook it and start it right is slide too much. Remember, if you slice of the ball, don't even think about this because you want that motion, that lateral, so don't get confused there. But remember, if you're sliding, like you can see on the swing here, now you've put yourself in a position called stuck. This club is stuck behind you, so you're now going to have to rip your hands over to try and square it. Pretty inconsistent. So to help with this, you're going to keep the width on the backswing, to remember. So you're not going to slide, you're just trying to keep this transition. You can see what I do with my right leg there. You're going to kind of pacify the transition, so you're keeping your right leg kind of pacified. Now you're not just standing there, just doing it with your hands and arms, that's not real life. You need to create pressure. So to do that, I'm doing a little squat, so you can see my right knee, not a lot, but my right knee is going towards my toe here. So as you can see from the front view, keeping the width. Now to keep the width on the way down and stop this thing dropping behind me on the downswing, I'm keeping some width in my leg position. If I slide, my hand wants to drop in front of me, underneath me, you see. So if I squat a little bit, it's going to guarantee that width and that right arm to be out in front of me a little bit more, and get my hand path a little bit more out, so then I can work on the third thing, which I'll tell you in a minute. So remember, in practice, you're blending all these thoughts together and all these feelings. I don't really want you to take this out onto the golf course, because on the range and practice swings you can change your pate a little bit and you can kind of try and blend all these ingredients together to make this fading recipe. Aim left a little bit, nice and wide, and then you're kind of squatting. You exaggerate it a little bit. You can see now my thighs are now level halfway down, meaning my left arm is parallel to the ground. I haven't slid and been shut. So nice and strong. So look, from this wide position, I can still create this kind of lasso, this shallowing effect. Because remember what I said in the opposites attract. To fade the ball doesn't mean you throw your hands and club outside. Looks like you're creating width, but it won't. It'll drop the club under speed. So you can create this kind of little bit of pressure being put on the shaft, and then you're off and running with the coil, which I'll get onto in a minute. Okay, so let's try and blend those two feelings, nice and wide, and then nice and kind of a little bit squatty on the way down in the transition. Okay, so I'd like you to focus on my right thigh in transition. There's going to be no, so transition meaning kind of 7/8 of the way up to kind of third on the way down. There's going to be no lateral sliding. I want that type of look to happen. So I want to be kind of not getting off my right side too quickly. So aim left slightly, nice and wide, my hand and arm plane, and then a little bit of squat on the transition. Didn't hit that great in terms of strike, but there you see a nice fade there, starting slightly left. Remember, we're not after a big cut, just after a nice subtle fade here, starting left. Okay, so that's the second feeling. First feeling is a little coil and width with the hands and arms. Second feeling is a little squat, so you're not getting off your right side too quickly. So you're kind of, now you're in a position to coil and pivot correctly on the way through. So remember, if you're stuck and the club's inside you and you've lateral shifted too early, you're going to now have to have an overactive right hand in terms of release. Obviously if you're left-handed, just reverse that. So you've got too much release going on, because remember, to hook the ball you have to then close and introduce too much toe to the shot, and to do that you're probably having to kind of rip those hands over too much. So to reverse that, you need to be in this wide position coming down, and then the steering wheel to your pivot and your release is now your belly button. Because remember, beforehand you were stalling, so the right hand would overtake the belly button. Now it's the opposite. Now we want this belly button, which is this arrow, you want this to be leading. Remember, if you slices, this isn't for you. Okay, so let's blend a few of those, nice and smooth. I was not really looking for a result on this first one, this first ball, because remember, to blend all these feelings up is going to be now tricky. So let's take it nice and slow. So width, squat, pivot. I've held it there, so you can see my club hasn't ripped over yet. You can see my hands are kind of passive. My left arm there, show you one more. My left arm there and club are all in one line. So nice and light, squat, pivot, which means turning my belly button round here. I'm not stuck. There's rotation of my belly going round me towards my left heel now, where my weight is, which you can see there. Okay, let's slow that down. Half a follow through, wide, squat, pivot. You can see that I'm fully off my right side now, because I'm allowed to, but I'm pivoting. So what I said there is really important, remember. I'm fully off my right side, but I'm not early in the transition. There's a little squat going on here to create some pressure and some width on the way down. Then from there, I'm releasing this belly round, and I'm allowing this right side to come up. So there's no release. You can see there, it's exaggerated. You can see the angle between the shaft and my right arm, there's some angle. If you were hooking the ball, it would be the opposite, you see. You can see my right hand and right arm, forearm there, and the club shaft is completely opposite than this. Nice and wide, you can see I'm still turning. I haven't just thrown my hands out without turning here, so I'm not just picking it up. There's a coil going on, broken record, every single video I probably do. Remember, I'm always on about turning and coiling on the backswing, but keep the hands nice and wide, squat, pivot. Let's do a slow motion drill one. Really holding that club face off. There's no toe roll at all. Beautiful. Okay, so we can now speed that up. Obviously I won't probably be able to hold that follow through like I did now, but let's just speed it up. Oh, I did hold it. See, there's no right to left spin on that now. Might be difficult to start with, might not happen in 5 shots, but remember the objective should be at the driving range, and any practice session should be, right, okay, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to get the ball starting line correct first, and then I'm going to work on spin. So remember, ball starting line comes from width. You don't want this thing inside, so the first 2 ingredients are really going to help with that ball starting line, slightly left, is width and width. Width in the backswing means you can coil and keep your hands out in front of you. Width in the downswing is keeping some width in your leg position. You're not getting off your right side too quickly. Now, to take the right to left spin off it, you need to now pivot. If your steering wheel to your swing is now your torso, now you won't be active with your hands. And then just hold. And you can lengthen that, speed it up as much as you like. Make sure I don't hit Trev here. Trev, stay. Good boy, good boy. Width, width, pivot. Really kind of hold that off as much as you can to find that neutral ground. And you can see there, okay, it hasn't started left massively, but it hasn't gone right to left in the air. And that's the key. So it's just understanding, remember, the best teacher in the world is the golf ball. If you can get the golf ball with less spin on it, you've got now more control. So, you know, just breaking and watching the golf ball and see what it does, see where it starts and see what it does in the air. That's going to give you everything about what's going on mechanically in your body and your club face. Okay, so thanks very much everyone for watching, and I really hope that's something that you can take forward and improve your game. So remember, really important, you slicers of the ball, you're not going to need this video, so be very careful. This is just for you guys who kind of start the ball too far right and you've got too much hook as well. So from myself and Trev down here, who's not too bad. It's actually really lovely in the UK today. It's quite warm, thank goodness. Very, very windy, as you could probably tell from the net, but it's really warm compared to the last few days. So long may that continue. So from myself and Trev, we bid you farewell. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great golfing week, and if this is something of some interest to you going forward in terms of the channel, we'd love you to have you along as a subscriber. So please hit that subscribe button right there. God, I'm like a real professional now, aren't I? So anyway, thanks everyone. Have a great golfing week. Please stay healthy on and off the golf course. And if you'd like to leave a comment on this video, I'd love to reply and do my best to get back to you. Thanks very much, everyone. Cheerio. Good boy.